Hello, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful episode of Entellis, where we talk about marketing and we help businesses and brands shine, basically. This is powered by Rovatel Media, a 360 marketing company that basically takes you from where you are to where you want to be. So, talk about traditional marketing, experiential marketing, from social media marketing to out of home adverts and everything that has to do about it. So, today we have a very interesting topic, which is called market evolution. Would you rather disrupt or would you integrate? And today we are happy to have an icon. You can't talk about business strategy and structure in Nigeria as a whole and not mention him. So please let's give it up for Mr. Eizu Uwaoma, who is the CEO of Xavier.
How you doing? I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Dami, representing Entellis. So can you just give us a brief about, if people are asking, who is Mr. Eizu?
Mr. Izu, two words, management consultant. If I need to expand that, it would be the guy who builds and restructures businesses, spent the last 14 years, over a decade, building businesses, both for myself and for other people, right? I'm doing my PhD. I have 3 master's degree, a couple of certifications, and all that. But more importantly, I'm very passionate about people moving from that substandard or substantial business to actual global brands, and that's like my ultimate goal for most of my clients.
That's very great. So we're having like over a decade of experience in business structure. Like a lot of businesses don't even stand the test of time. Like 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and they are gone. Right? How have you been able to stay afloat for over 10 years? How has it been? Do you have a secret sauce, or is there one soap you are using that you can cook for us?
No, I mean, in the end, that's where you need the full core passion. There'll be ups and downs, right? If anyone really told you how difficult it is to run a business in Nigeria, you probably would have just taken the option of getting a job. But then again, I think it's just that passion that fuels it and the excitement that comes from seeing things work. So I think that's pretty much what it is. I'm glad that we took that route. When you sit back and you look at probably number of people that probably have started their business because they were inspired by you, people who were even working with you and they start theirs, and maybe you own equity in some of those startups, it keeps you to keep going, in my own opinion. And of course, most importantly, benefit cost ratio, it pays the bill. That's also very important as well.
Very, very, very important.
Yes.
So that was going to prompt me to another discussion. So there's an untapped market, all right? So let me give you an example. There are the likes of people in Alaba market, Computer Village, like people that you are telling them about, okay, you come and do marketing, come and do structure. They're like, one day, forget when you put that in. They are more like, we've been through this thing. I've been here. I have my office space. Why do I need the digital presence? Why do I need to be seen? How do you convince people like that, basically?
On the lighter note, were you just trying to speak Igbo now? I said,
Yes.
nah.
Yeah, when you put that
Onye kuru that thing.
Onye kuru that thing,
Yes,
okay.
yes. It's you see, the thing about it is, because it's funny you talked about Alaba and Computer Village. I'm going to those two places after
Oh,
now.
really? That's
right?
amazing.
But that's really changing. That's almost also like a cliche to say that, oh, these guys are running one kiosk, two kiosks. I've consulted for a lot of businesses every year, at least 100. I can tell you that old Computer Village and Alaba is drastically changing. People are building more structural businesses. We're having a lot of Igbo businesses make their second generation for the first time. Kids who are taking over their dad's business and are running it better than their dad did. I mean, God is good is a practical good example of that. We all know the GIG model. I mean, GIG, there's a lot of Igbo people who are doing better than their dad did. It used to be Nemeka and Sons. I'm really looking forward to Nemeka and Sons being an IPO at some point and having other people there. Yes, but it's still a concern regardless. But that's what happens when you start a business. You see, the purpose of starting a business is so important. A lot of them start businesses. A lot of Nigerians, not an Igbo problem. It's a general problem. We start businesses as an escape route from poverty. And what you're looking
Just to
at
break
determines,
family bondage.
Once you break that poverty, you go back to your village, can build a nice house. Then further ahead, you can afford vacation for your children, a Rolls Royce parked somewhere. You're fine,
Yeah,
right? But
that's all that matters.
I think it's a very selfish thing to think of, because I'm looking for Nigerian businesses that won't think of their business from how much they make to how comfortable their staff are, how many people they employ. I think that's a better model, right, than just looking at yourself. So I think fundamentally it's changing. Structure is the reason why that happens. And also people are finding out that they are slaves to their own business. You're making money, but you can't take vacation.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, that has to change.
No
And that's
work-life
changing
balance.
now. Yes, that has to change now. Because the ultimate goal of life is freedom, not money. You use the money to buy freedom. So use money. When you make a lot of money, use the money to buy other people's time. That's what you call employment. You employ people so you can have more time. So I think people are realizing it. There's a new wave and also a new age thought that, you need more time. And people are realizing that the more time, the only way that you can get more time and more freedom is actually by you having more structure. The more structure you have in your business, the more freedom you have in your life. Very simple.
Oh, that's great, because I mean, even Zig Ziglar was like, doing the same thing and expecting a change is insanity. Because I mean, over time there are some businesses there are a lot of businesses that don't want to adapt. Like, they don't want to evolve. Like, they are like, okay, I've been doing this for a while. Like, this is what I want to do. This is the way I know. By why do I fix what is not broken? Like, how can you advise someone that has that kind of fixated mindset, that is not open to change? It doesn't want to try new things. Like, the world is evolving. It's a global village, and 247 new things are happening. Like, what used to trend 10 years ago is not what's happening now. That's why 10 years ago, going to bank, the goal was go to school, get a good job, and that's all. But now, most people that are even making a whole lot of mark, some of them didn't even go to school. I'm not saying going to school is a bad thing, right? So what kind of advice will you give for people like that have more of like a fixated mindset?
Fixated mindset. I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. I'm a hip hop addict, sort of. I'm listening to a song just coming here. It's called American Dreaming. It's an old Jay-Z song. And he says something in the song, his wordplay. He says, survive the drought, I wish you well. Survive the drought, I wish you well. 9 out of 10 people won't get the concept. Survive the drought, I wish you well. Well, drought, water. But that's what I'd rather think, that for people to understand to be well, they have to go through that drought. Pain is the biggest trigger for disruption.
Yeah, best motivation.
So people don't want to change. They are fixated till there's a need to change. When the pain of where you are becomes so much, right, it will trigger to move. So a lot of people are okay doing what they're doing till somebody comes and does what they should have done. And they wake up and say, oh my God, now I need to change. The sad thing about that, most of the time when they wake up, it's already too late. The market
time has already
moved.
left you.
So the ultimate thing is pain. That's why I have a problem with people that don't understand how much of a blessing pain and discomfort can be. Right. So I think that's fundamentally what has happened globally with a lot of things. And I was having discussion. I'm usually a regular in Arisings and Business, and I'll tell them something about the greatest inventions the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
The greatest inventions the world has ever seen. I can mention some, like the internet came from wars, right?
Yeah.
The aeroplane came from wars. So sometimes is that war period doesn't have that dramatic, that will cause that change.
Yeah, that will cause the drastic change.
Back to the marketplace, which is why we're here, is nothing else drives people to change than competition. So when that competition comes and happens, right, they would have no other choice to move. So I pray that that's why I hate the idea of monopoly, no matter what. Once more people come into it and they're smarter, what is happening now in computer, thank God you mentioned it, is that all of a sudden, the Nemeka and Chukwudi are realizing that there are people who used to wear suits like me, who went to Harvard and Stanford, who are coming to sell charger and power bank. So they are sitting up, right?
So upscale.
Yes, because I mean, it dawns on you that there are people who are more structured and better. So that's my view. I think for people like that, I cannot advise them than to wish them drought. Survive the drought, then I wish you well. If you survive the drought, then I wish you well.
That's a nice punchline. I'll survive the drought, I wish you well. That's great. Yeah. So another thing I was thinking, right? It's an evolving situation. So let's say, for example, let me give you an instance of what's the name now? Gokada.
Yeah.
Gokada started business when everybody was like, oh, Gokada came, O-Bike came, Max Ride came. Then all of a sudden, government came with just one policy, right? One policy that disrupted it. What did they say? They banned Okadas. That's the bikes in Lagos. And next thing, it's crumbled a lot of businesses. So how can you stay true to your business, even if a government policy comes? How can you stay true to your business? So let's say you have a new policy that is coming and saying, okay, you were doing this before and they stop it. What's your next move? What advice will you use? Like, I mean, they say we pray for the best, but we prepare for the worst. So what's the worst case scenario and best case scenario?
See, one of the most fun things, and people don't realize this, is not how well you can think, but how fast you can think, right? I would always take a fast thinker over the guy that thinks deeply and better. Because fast thinkers is, I hire, I hire mostly 4.5 CGPAs. Most of my team members made it first
Why is
class.
that?
That's a different question. But one of the things I look forward to when I'm doing an interview for team members and they all made first class, I'm not trying to interview you to know who is more intelligent, because at that level, everybody's intelligent. Nobody, no matter how corruption is in Nigeria, no Nigerian university can dash you first class.
Definitely.
Because of
You
the
have to
structure
work
of
for it.
CGPA. You have to go to at least
cumulative.
16, yes, cumulative. You have to go to 16 lecturers and bribe your way, which is not
All of
likely,
them.
because some of them will be MFM members, some will be Deeper Life members, right? And they wouldn't take the bribe.
Yeah.
So one of the things I always ask them, very simple questions: how fast can you think? But I don't say how fast can you think. I can just say, oh, I have a pen here. How many things can you do with a pen? And I want to see the guy that can tell me how quickly he can think about the number of things he can do with a pen. I can, oh, this is water. I'm having a bottle of water. What are different things you can do with water? So somebody says, I can bath, I can swim, I can drink. Then their brain freezes. They don't think of any other thing. But guess what? Water can have like 50. So the metaphor of what I'm saying is very simple. One of the most fundamental things that will keep you in business, whether there is regulators, whether there is disruption, is how fast you can react. Not even how well.
Ability to maneuver.
Very fast. Speed is the biggest. Look, the fundamental of any disruption is driven by speed.
Okay.
Anything that kills anything, and Nigeria and the world has seen too many things kill things. Blockbuster was killed by Netflix.
Yeah.
Yellow Cabs was killed by Uber.
Yeah.
Right. Jumia and Konga now are struggling because of the likes of Temu. Right. Night vigils are being killed by the likes of Nathaniel Bassi and Jerry Eze. Right.
Pastor Bolaji.
Whenever you find Bolaji, one of the things you find is, and people don't see that way, is that what they used as a weapon was speed. If you check whatever killed the other one, is always faster than the other one. How long does it take you to get to a video? How long does it take you to turn on your Instagram live? Right? How long does it take you to get a yellow cab? How long does it take you to run an Uber? How long does it take you to jump off your come out of your house and rent a DVD from the streets and to be on Netflix? So I think that people have to fundamentally learn to hire people who can not even reactively, proactively think fast. So that's my response. My response is fast thinking. That energy you're using to analyze the problem is already time wasted. So when you're in your market, you used to make a large amount of sales, then the sales drop by 5%, then 10%, then 20%. The time is taking you to have board meetings, jump from one crusade to another. Use that time to quickly react. I think that's really the ultimate goal. How fast any business, if once you can have speed as a competitive advantage, half of the problem is solved. That's my one word: speed.
So you would rather pick speed over direction?
In the context of disruption, in the concept of disruption, in other things, they see everything is contextual. In the context of life, like, let me example, if we're to marry, I'll choose someone that has direction over someone that has speed. That's the context. But in this thing called business, and trying to react to competition, speed is always important. So if a customer is angry, how fast you can engage the customer before he goes on social media to drag you, that's the speed factor. So when it comes to disruption, the executive outlier, if there's any word like that, is how fast you can react to any shift in the equilibrium. Life is built on balance. Once there is a balance, a shift in that balance, that's equilibrium move, one of the things you must do is to quickly react. So in that context, speed over direction. You might not be getting the direction right, but if you're fast enough, even when you realize that the direction is switched, you're fast enough to move.
To react.
Yes, absolutely. Quick. That's my view on it.
Don't own the factory, own the market. Can you just buttress more on that? What do you mean by that?
Don't own the factory, own the market. It's more egotistical to say, oh, I hire 50 customers, I have 50 employees. Oh, I have the biggest factory, right? That's owning factory, that's production. If you are to choose between owning the biggest factory and owning the biggest market, I'll say choose owning the biggest market. If you check the 21st century biggest businesses, they don't own the biggest factories, they own the biggest markets. So a lot of people put a lot of energy in operations when they should put energy on marketing. Thank God you're a marketing company. I look at this all the time. Like, you see people who, if you look at their cost structure in their business, let me say they spend 100 million every month. You find out that they spend 90 million on production, operation, staff, and then they have 1 million or 5 million on social media ad. That's the guy that wants to own the factory and not own the
Own the
market.
market.
21st century businesses don't even own factories most of the time. I was
They
telling
don't bother.
someone that iPhone has 1 billion phones on. As we speak, there are 1 billion iPhones on, not ever produced on. If I ask anybody to tell me where iPhone factories are, they will struggle.
Yeah,
Because there's none. It's outsourced production, right? Surprisingly, when people argue about iPhone versus Samsung, which one has a better screen, I always laugh because the screen of iPhone is made by Samsung. True story, right? So this is about the third or fourth biggest company in the world. They don't own the biggest factory. They don't even own the
They don't
factories,
bother.
right? But they own the biggest market, 1 billion customers. So that's really what that context is. Same as everything else. You're not the guy who wants to own the biggest kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? Own the biggest customers. People should move from production based. And I always say this all the time, even in boardrooms, when people are like, oh, we're hiring 10,000 staff. Oh, that's good. But then again, what if you can do that 10,000 job with 1,000 people powered by AI? The best bank in Nigeria is not the highest employing bank.
Yeah.
If I'm to own a bank, right, I'd rather own a GT than a Zenith, right, or a First Bank. GT has learned to be almost on that level.
Yeah.
Fugaz,
Very innovative.
Fugaz, yes, yeah, Fugaz. There are 5 big banks in Nigeria. They call them Fugaz: First Bank, UPA, GT, Access, Zenith. If you look at the cost structure and the profitability of it, you find out that GT is very profitable because they've learned to do more with lesser staff. That's the guys that understand owning the markets more than owning the factory. Right, you can go to a GT bank and find only 2-3 people in the shop floor, like servicing people.
Yeah.
Right, because they've learned to do more with less. But then behind the scene, they have one of the largest customer base.
Definitely.
Right, so I think that's pretty much what the context is. Don't own the factory, own the market. Push more around market share. Push more around marketing, that you push more around branding. You push more around production. Sorry, you can always outsource production. There's always somebody out there that has a big factory that doesn't have anybody to buy.
Yeah.
Be that, right? You're selling clothes. Don't be the guy that owns 50 tailors and then after they produce clothes, you're looking for how to sell. Be the guy that already knows how to sell and then delegate that. Matter of fact, don't even produce. Find somebody that produces and just put your logo on it and give him your quality assurance standards to say, look, we can't fall below this standard.
Q&A, properly tested and all.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Okay, that's really nice. So at what stage does a business know that it needs structure? Most people, they feel like, I don't think I need a structure, but it's very dependent because everybody has their role to play. You can't have the CEOs. Okay, let me just take, for example, we are doing a podcast, right? Yeah. The people that are videographers, a social media marketer cannot come and be doing that. I mean, everybody has their own role to play, right? So at some point, most businesses, they don't even know that, okay, I need structure, right? At what point do you think that they should actually, if you have these things that are red flags that I know, okay, right, I think I need structure at this point. At what point do they get to?
At what point you know that you need structure is when you start making revenue, right? And you walk into your shop floor and there's queue.
Okay.
No matter what you're selling. And queue does not have the dramatic as you're selling food and people are lining up. Is that you are an online vendor and people are DMing you and it's taking you a longer time to respond. That's queue, right? At that point, you know. Second point is at the point where you spend a lot of time in your factory than in the market. Remember, I said don't own the factory, own the market. Yeah. When you realize you spend a lot of time
in production
than you spend in marketing. At the point where you realize that, yes, you're an extrovert, you like to go out, but you cannot go out because you're enslaved in the business. If you go out, production will cease. At that point, you know that you need structure. At the point where you have so much authority that nothing moves except you move. Okay. Right? It sounds like a good thing from an ego perspective, but at that point, you need structure. Nobody should have that so much power. Right? I think once you start to have those type of systems, issues, you know that, you need to rejig your system. In my own opinion, that easy rule of thumb. As a matter of fact, when I come to people's office, I ask them very simple questions as CEOs. In 5 days in a week, how long and how much do you spend in your office? Because the real CEO's work is not to spend a lot of time in his office, right? It's to network, it's to build strategy, it's to create insights and ideas. And ideas and insights, by their nature, does not come in a place of chaos with all that run around. So at what point, I ask very non-technical, non-business questions that tell me whether you have structure or not. For example, I can just jokingly say to a CEO that's my friend, so when last did you go on vacation? I say, Eizu, I can't go on vacation. And I know it's not a money problem. He has money to go on vacation, but he cannot go on vacation.
Can't afford to leave the business.
The kind of firefighting you come
Problem,
and meet,
yeah.
right? So I think those are very non-technical. They're very non-technical. When there's queue, when there's a lot of waste, when there's a lot of inconsistency in delivery, when you're a slave to your own business, when you don't have time, right? And when you look at the vision you have and it's so big and it overwhelms you because you don't know the step 1, step 2, step 3, at that point you need structure.
Okay, so that's going to prompt me to the next conversation. So what steps, if you were to give an advice to a business, what are the steps that you say to take? What comes before what? So, it's a ladder, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't start climbing a ladder from the middle.
Yeah.
You must start from down, up, first step, second step, third step, right? Everything are all good ideas, but what are the
Precedents,
first,
order of precedence for in the context of structure? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, the context of structure is to step back and try to high level know what the problem is. The problem is a lot of people don't know what the problem is. The problem is a lot of people don't know what the problem is. So the first step is to step back and
find the problem.
Have a good idea of what the problem is. A lot of us think we know the problem, we don't know the problem. Like somebody can be sick and he has headache and he has fever, right? And he has cough. And he runs to a pharmacy to get paracetamol for fever, get cough syrup for cough. He doesn't know what the problem is. Those are symptoms of malaria. The problem is that there's a parasite that's invaded his system. I think it's called Plasmodium. Am I right? The problem is Plasmodium. It's not headache and fever. Because when you finish treating that headache, it's going to come again because the malaria is still there. That's why I said the problem is you don't know what the problem is. You might do this analysis like that you yourself, you're even the problem. Right? And you say, because I was telling somebody that founders don't necessarily make good CEOs. You're a founder does not mean that you have to be the CEO. So if you ever realize that, wait a second, I'm a bad manager CEO, meaning that the first problem is to find yourself a CEO. I was telling somebody,
yourself out of the
top 20 businesses in Nigeria currently, top 20 businesses, and I can mention their names. 90% of the top 20 business in Nigeria now are not having their founders as their CEO. Not the top 5 banks. The founder of Zenith is Jimovia, is not the CEO. The founder of First Bank is not the CEO. The founder of GT is currently not the CEO. Dangote, as a founder, is not CEO of Dangote. CEO. So founders have even stepped away. So that's first of all understanding that what the problem is, and sometimes it's not you. It might be that, I have a marketing problem. Sometimes you think you have staff turnover problem, you have a sales problem. Staff always leave. If you don't pay them two days after the new month, they move. That's not a turnover problem. That's a sales problem. Because if you pay them so well, they might probably stay. Yeah. It can be an attitude problem. So the first step is know what the problem is. The second step is seek help. Have the humility to say, I need help.
Most
sometimes
don't like
the humility is, and how we were raised and everything, it makes you feel like you're weak to ask, right?
This person should not look at me less.
Right. But so that's second step, to seek for help. Whatever seek for help means, maybe get a mentor, maybe get a business consultant, maybe get a board. But you need external people to second check what you initially high level thought was the problem. Yes. The first thing is try to identify the problem high level. Is preliminary diagnosis is vital. You might be wrong. Same way a doctor can say, I think you have malaria. The doctor is sure because he's seen a lot of people with these symptoms, but he's not really sure. So he goes you through, that's hypothetically speaking. So he runs you through the lab tests. Right? So that lab test is somebody that sat down and said, somebody that's passed through that said, this problem, I know what the problem is. That's second step. Then third step is, that's when structure starts to make sense. You take your company, you break it down into 3 levels. Upper level, middle level, and ground level. Think of it like a pyramid. Upper level is your corporate. Middle level is your management. And bottom is operations. Most people spend a lot of time in the upper parts, operations. But when you have management, and you sit on management, that means you now see that the 3 levels come alive. You sit on management, which is middle, means you're the top, sit on the middle, and operations. That's the third step. Then you can now objectively now say, for all the operational problems, let me have somebody in charge of solving them while I'm in charge of the guy that is in charge of it. Right? This is not a one person selling clothes on Instagram conversation. This is a structured conversation.
Definitely.
I must say this, as much as I spend years building structure, your business can be too small. That structure will self-sabotage it, right? Because a level of structure requires speed sometimes. When you're very, very small business, Structure might not be the best for you because you need speed. When I see small businesses that are trying to be structured and you go on their Instagram and they write opening hour and closing hour. Okay, opening and closing hour is for people that have business. Like that
At this
are
point,
not
you are
self.
looking for
Okay, you're
customers
self-employed. You cannot be doing opening hour and closing hour.
active 247.
Guy,
You dey
you
buy
are,
at the
you are,
seller, they say you dey buy.
right? So that's somebody who is a big business, a small business pretending to be a big business, right? So while structure is important, that's why I said at the point where you ask me, at what point do you know that you need structure? Not at the point where you started. Not at the point where you started, right?
Just hit the ground running.
Right, hit the ground running. Try to win market share by doing what the big guy cannot do. For example, the big guy already put on Instagram opening time, closing time. They chat them by 7. They say they've closed. Your competitive advantage that
there are
you
a
know
lot
they
of
close.
untapped markets there.
Guy, I know they close. It's always that neglected market
I can get from.
that you can get, right? If you have a big food brand that opens at 8 a.m. and you have a small booker next to it, you cannot afford to open at 8 a.m. because the big business is at 8 a.m. The business at 8 a.m., okay, you better open at 6:30 because that 1 hour, 30 minutes is competitive advantage. That's the only way some people would ever taste your food because they are so hungry, the place is not opened yet. So they will test you, and if they like the food, then even if that one opens the next day by 8, they already like the food. That's the competitive advantage, right? That's the only way. Let me give an example. Let me use music for example. Right? Look at people like Portable who came up as almost like underdogs, right? It was the advantage they have. Big brands can't do some things because they have shame. Portable no come with shame, right?
He doesn't care about
because
anything.
he's small, like at that level then, right? He can do what he needs to do, right? And so you cannot be a poor man with a big man problem, right? I don't know if you know what I mean. Look, sorry to be sarcastic. A big man can come with a pot belly, that's a problem, but people can understand that he looks. I mean, in Nigeria, sometimes pot belly is a sign of
good living.
According to them. You don't have money, I have pot belly. I don't understand what's going on with you, right? If you know my point, right? Right. There's some problems that you can understand if a big man has it, right? The same thing is that being a poor man with big man problem is the same thing as being a small business with a big business problem, right? Okay. You can't be a small business. Big business problems are like speed is a factor because you have to go through different levels to get approval. Somebody DMs you as a small business.
What's your response time?
Somebody DMs you as what you're having a discussion is let's chat on WhatsApp, or you're sending me step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Right? Somebody say how much? You say I'll send you an invoice. Okay, it's energy, it's speed that you're playing with there. If you know what I mean. If you need to send a bank account, call him immediately. Till the point where there is now a problem where there are too many people who are asking for account numbers. I think I've really made my point in that case. So the step 1 is to know you have a problem, to identify the problem high level, to ask for help. Second step. Third step is to break your company to 3 levels and stay at the highest level. At that point, you are no longer self-employed. You're a chief. When you're a chief, it means that chief traditionally means that chief of a village, means that you have people under you. Then you can now work on your business, not work in your business. When you start, you work in your business. When you start, you work in your business. I don't like when people are small and they're calling themselves CEO. Okay, you are a hustler and it's okay to be a hustler. Take pride in it. Take pride in it.
So you get to that level.
Because the people that work with you because you are a hustler. They want that
because of the drive, the
now.
spirit.
Like, look, if I go to a certain brand to make my clothes and they say it will take me 4-5 days, I can understand that their hand is full. You just started, be the guy that can deliver it in 2 days. Matter of fact, now you can deliver it, right? At that point, when you pass that, you're now on the business and not in the business. Then you start to look at your team members and start to mentor them while you also have a mentor. One thing you can't afford to do is self-sabotage, to not have people you can run to in your business. Whenever you start your business, or if you started a business, you must have somebody who has passed the stage you're in, who is in your corner. So I was reading something about early days of Apple, one of the most capitalized companies in the world right now, how Apple would sit down and chill with the likes of Bill Gates, chill with the likes of Hewlett of HP, right? And those kind of things. You always have got to have someone you can run to. I mean, every 4 days and the likes of JP Morgan and them, you see it. Even Dangote, your famous Dangote, could run back to Dan Tata.
Yes. For advice.
Right? Even your famous pastors, right? At some point,
that's where the mentorship game comes.
Yes, now people like Uwaoma and Entellis can always run back to Oyedepo. And Oyedepo in his early days can run back to what's his name now? Dahosa, right? You must have a mentor. It's self-sabotaging to not have a mentor. And then you must learn how to also turn your employees to mentees informally, and structurally you teach them and get them to document what you've learned. That is the beginning stage of SOPs, standard operating procedures. You make very good banana bread. That's what they know you for. After a while, you turn your employees to show them how they make banana bread. They say, go and write down what I've showed you on how you did banana bread, right? You're documenting your processes. You're creating departments. You're not saying, okay, we all make banana bread, but now we're going to put this one. Step 1 is preparation. That's a unit. Step 2 is the second step. All that units on that department. On that department, you report to a manager. Manager reports to GM. GM reports to me. And me report to my mentors, which is the board.
Yeah. So it's very efficient for you to have a board. People that can check and put you in place.
Absolutely. Further formal or informal, you must have a board.
Okay. So when you are trying to get people on your team, like you want to employ somebody, will you rather go for talent or loyalty? Which one will you rather go for? Like, will you rather pick someone that is loyal, or will you rather go with someone that is talented at it?
Okay, so I don't want to be political, say it's neither here or there, whatever it is. I think, first of all, it depends on the phase you are in, the life cycle of your business, and also the position you're hiring for. There are positions that require high level of loyalty, right? High level of loyalty. For example, in presidency, chief of staff of a president or a governor, loyalty is so important because that's someone who has your back any day.
Any day, anytime.
Right. Vice president, loyalty might not even be the most important thing. What might be the most important is who can help you win your election first.
Very important.
I mean, Nigeria is a good context of that, right? We've had the history where president did not even like the vice, but it was important to have that vice to be politically correct to win the election, right? So it depends on the two things, the stage you are in your business and the position. When you're a startup, right, this thing called loyalty is overrated. First, I have a very interesting view on loyalty. Okay. I am big on loyalty, but I'm also practical enough to know that loyalty is relative, right? Okay. Nobody's that loyal to anybody. They are loyal to their needs. They have to do what they want person. To get from you. Yes, loyalty.
Once they stop getting the cheese.
So it's delicate conversation, but only for people that are mature enough to understand this conversation. Loyalty, nobody's really absolutely loyal to you. They are loyal to their need that has to do with you. So that guy that you say is very loyal as a staff does not mean that if you stop paying him in 3 months,
he will still be loyal.
He will still be loyal. Even yourself that you're talking, that you say you are big on loyalty. You have a God. You're loyal to your God. Let me assume that there is a breaking news now that God says, I'm no more answering anybody's prayer in the next 2 years. And then you now hear that there's one small God somewhere that can answer a prayer. And your child is dying, and they tell you that child can be solved by that small God. There are few people who can, but majority of people, you see, as the world change, everything remains the same. That Moses story that Moses was staying too long and then they had started creating their own gods. That's a practical case study of what we're saying. So why I always explain this to people so that you manage expectation of what loyalty is, right? Except your child, the highest form of loyalty I've seen is loyalty of mother to a child. Right, because even that child loyalty to mother, I've seen child that loyalty to mother to the girlfriend. They have girlfriend and they have wife, changes. Right? Then the wife is dragging, and the child has to make some sense, and he chooses his wife over his mother. That you now understand that the loyalty has changed balance, right? So my question, so you know the answer already. I'll choose competence over loyalty majority of the time, except for exceptions where the roles are very strategic and has to do with sustainability. Right. Your second in command, loyalty is extremely important, right? But to get things done and to produce output, right? When your wife is sick and in labor and needs to have a CS to survive, and they show you 2 doctors, and one of them is that this doctor has been loyal, but the other one is competence, I'm sure you will not choose loyalty over to treat your wife. If they tell you that, look, this one is loyal, but he has done 10 surgery, but after that 10 surgery, 9 died. And then they tell you the second one is not loyal, it doesn't matter. That one, if you're not paying his money now, he will not treat you. That's the highest level of loyalty. But out of the 10 will survive. Okay, you turn back. You don't argue loyalty. You go look for money and get it. So any day, anytime, I choose competence over loyalty. And I have to question all the time with my colleagues. I'm like, look, I want you to be loyal. I want you to stay as long as much as I want to be loyal to you. But one criteria for loyalty is competence. For me, else you'll be running your business like Nigeria is being run. Nigeria has got here because a lot of people chose loyalty over competence, right? You know this guy is not fit for the job, but because he's the one that has been carrying back for you, you put him there. That's how we got ourselves into a lot of contextual mess in Nigeria. So I'll choose competence over loyalty, but my prayer is that we find competent people who are loyal.
Well, yeah, that comes with the whole package. So there is now I'm talking about the issue of Godfatherism, whereby people are like your net worth is your network, right? Because the kind of people that you roll with really matters. So what do you have to say about that though?
I agree. I see some words has been overly stigmatized and will make it look like it's a bad thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with Godfatherism, whether in politics, whether in business, right? If you see anybody that's climbed up to the ladder,
He didn't do it by himself.
somebody's
Somebody's pulling him up.
somebody up brought it down. You that want to make heaven, how are you trying to make heaven if not that you have a God somewhere that would, by grace, bring you
up, yeah.
right? So I think people should, and this is a very not popular thought, and honestly, I really don't care that much, right? But the reality about it is,
You need it.
when the Godfatherism crosses a mark and it leads to nepotism, it's now an unhealthy form of Godfatherism. Synonyms for Godfatherism be things like mentors, people that have your back, people that have sponsors, right? At any given point, we all need sponsors in our lives, right? Sponsors are people who are in the room already and can speak in your absence to
Even
get
when
you
you're not
into
there,
that room,
to open doors
right?
for you.
I mean, we're Christians. In the name of Jesus is how we hope for our prayers to be heard. In the name of something, right? And the same thing. So I don't see anything wrong with maybe somebody who is already there and has your
Yeah.
back. Somebody at any given point, there are people attached to you, and there are people attached to you in life at any given point, and there are people assigned to you. Right? People attached to you are people up that's going to bring you up. People assigned to you are people that will bring you up. Right. So that's my view. The business has a lot of Godfatherism. Look, I grew up in an interesting neighborhood, right? In Bodilon.
Okay.
Anybody that knows, right?
Definitely.
Ikoyi. And I saw this firsthand. I was in rooms with friends who their dad had people who worked for their dad, and today they're the richest people in Africa. And I know, looking back at it as a child who hung around those neighborhoods, I'm like, this guy wouldn't have gotten there without this guy putting in word for him to get this oil block or to get this license for a bank. I don't know if that sort of makes sense, right? Right under my nose, I saw Tony Lumelu work for Ibitim Banigo, right? I saw Felicia Lakija work for Ibitim Banigo. So Felicia Lakija and Ibitim Banigo, Felicia Lakija and Tony Lumelu are among the richest people in Nigeria now, but there's somebody that got them, I believe, put in word or give them a chance, right? So my point here is there's nothing wrong with it, but let's not confuse it with nepotism. That's why your question was very valid. And make sure they have competence while you back that up with some push, right? It's human nature. We're social animals, and as social animals, we work in groups and we pick our own over others. But when it becomes too deep, especially in social environment like politics, where nepotism, tribalism is now what determines who's in the place, that's absolutely bad. I've seen people who were PAs to governors who eventually became governors. I've seen people who worked under people.
Yeah.
And then eventually they became, there's a lot of interesting stories around this, whether local or whether global. Obama would have struggled to be president if he didn't serve for Clinton.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Early days of Rotimi Amechi and his relationship with the likes of Ada George and Peter Odili and even Wike with Rotimi and all of them, right? It happens all the time, right? The truth about it is your current president at some point pushed the agenda for MK Abiola, right? So there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with pushing people forward. That's serving under people, and there's nothing wrong with people that are on top to throw the ladder down for you to climb, especially in a crowded bottom.
Where there are a whole lot of people there that are struggling to get
I think there's
to the top.
nothing wrong with it, but please let the passport to that push be competent.
Okay, all right, thanks a lot. So, what advice would you give to an SME, to someone that is just starting off a business, and like, what is your advice? Like, what steps should the person take? At what point does the person need marketing? At what point does the person need structure? Or what should be the person's drive, right? Because people are being driven for the wrong reasons. I think that is why most of the business don't even stand the test of time, because you can just start a business, just be like, some people do it because of show off. I worked with someone before that he bought a full complex just to show off, because when he was broke, he was there and they walked him out of there, and he made money and he came back to buy the complex, and that was one of the worst investment decisions that he ever made.
On lighter note, maybe you know the story, right? Right, yeah. So, but yes, I agree. Purpose is so important. Feel the energy that comes from what excites you, but let's make sure that energy what excites you is the right thing. So, one thing is my prayer for anybody. Say, when I say survive the drought, I wish you well. One of my prayers for anybody is that you genuinely love people and love to solve problem before anything else. Genuinely love people and love to solve problem. Because if you don't, and you love yourself more than you love to solve problems and solve people, you make the wrong decisions. You'll be so self-centered, so selfish, and you make strategic decisions based on self. And the universe in itself is not designed for you to put self first, right? Darwin's law of natural selection is something we learned in biology, that the ecosystem called life, right, drives on any organism that puts itself first, goes into extinction. Evolutionary trends by dinosaurs and all that, whether you believe in evolution or creation. But one of the things I learned from that is the first step is to genuinely love to solve problems, because from that solving problem is what's going to drive an idea when there's a problem. So if you love to solve problems, you like to see things order, and you come in here and realize that, oh, this place is hot, there's a fan, but if you turn on the fan, it will affect the sound. Because you genuinely love people, you can start to say, okay, how can people not be sweating while we are still doing what we need to do? That love for solving problem and loving people. We're almost sounding like we're in a Pentecostal church movement where God is love. But love is such an important concept that even what you say, I'm passionate about stuff, right? I'm always asking that passion, what type of passion is it? Because you're passionate about self, right? So that's your example is someone who, how he felt was so important to him, right?
Than solving a real problem.
First step is love people. You've got to love people. You've got to love solving problems. Then you're going to have a great idea. And when you have a great idea, just when you have an idea, it doesn't have to be a great idea. Some ideas become great when they start. It's not best, not the great ideas that become the most successful ideas.
Some of the ideas might sound stupid at the beginning.
One of the most successful companies in the world is actually a company called Wrigley. A lot of people don't know Wrigley. So Wrigley is among the top 100 companies in the world. This is my own top 10. Let me bring you home. People don't know Wrigley, but you know Orbit chewing gum. Orbit is Wrigley. Not sure. I think Snickers or Mars chocolate is Wrigley. PK chewing gum used to eat before was Wrigley. Yes. Bubble gum was Wrigley. Do you know what Wrigley started off? Is somebody walking to somebody and say, I have this idea where somebody can chew something, chew it, I won't swallow it. And somebody says, how dumb. So why would I buy something that will chew?
And at the end of the day, you're going to spit it out.
That's chewing gum. One of the most successful businesses ever. Is bubble gum idea. That's a bubble. Which kind of chewing gum?
So if someone came to meet you and like, I want to get chewing gum. Like, I can imagine it will really sound ridiculous.
A company's made billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of units, selling one of the ugliest shoes the world has seen in recent times, called Crocs. Think about the first time you saw Crocs. Very ugly looking shoe that's one of the most successful shoes of all time. That's not the great idea. For the first 1 year, nobody wanted to buy it till I think the first people that adopted it, and talk about evolutionary trends, one of the people that adopted it were nurses in hospitals because it was very comfortable. Yeah. I remember the first time I saw Crocs in my house, my wife bought it and bought pairs for my children and for me. I never put my leg in it because it just looks funny walking around it. My kids, they have a choice. They're kids. They look like a crocodile.
They don't have that.
It doesn't have to be a great idea. So when you love people, you find a problem, and you have an idea, don't wait for it to be great. It doesn't have to be great. Great ideas don't come from inside. They don't come from within. They come from between steps, right? Then you can now, next step, say, find people that would go with you with that idea. Whether customers that would try it first, even if it's for free, right? Whether employees that would help drive the production, right? Then document your thoughts. I'm a fan of start. The tools you need to be found on the way, right? And in more ways than one. And one of the things I think is very important in that context is the context of it doesn't have fully formed. It does have to be fully formed, right? It does have. Matter of fact, when your idea finally becomes a great idea, how you know it's become a great idea is you're going to step back and remember the first time you had the idea, and you'll be ashamed of yourself. Right. Every great product, the owner of that product, if he looks at his first product, he's going to be ashamed of himself. Of recent, I think Davido's song went viral that he sang years before even Damiduro. And I'm sure if he hears it, I'll be like, turn that thing down, turn that thing down, turn
it's
that thing
just
down.
noise, yeah.
Right? I'm sure Picasso or Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, if you ever saw his first sketch, right?
Or even Benz.
Or
They
Benz,
saw their
first, right?
car that they
Everybody's
did.
first product was crappy.
Yeah.
So skip
Over
that,
time.
whether people laugh at me or people not laugh at me, is all part of the game. Like, you're going to climb on stage and people will boo you, but you still have to keep going because you want to be
that's
a
where
DJ.
comes the fast thinker, ability to maneuver.
Right. So if I sum it up again, is love people, let the idea come from love of people and the solution it creates, not from I want to blow, I want to hammer, I want to live in Banana Island. Those are all selfish dreams. Universe doesn't respect and respond to people who think so much of what they want to take. The universe is built on what you want to give, not what you want to take.
Then
in a world where
eventually
everybody likes to
back.
take, you give. Even when you give freely and don't expect anything in return. I don't know where Nigerians got this concept of you sow. It's called you sow what you reap, not you sow where you reap. What you reap means I can give you, I can sow with you and move on, and you'll never give me. And I'll never hold it against you that you didn't give me. But the way the universe works, somebody will give me back in fold.
Yes.
But especially if I have an open mind not to hold it against you. When you do this, you especially manage better, you're more positive, you're less expectant of people, and you're open to whatever the experience is. And I hope that makes sense to somebody here. So a bit do that. Then at that point, you can start to document your thoughts, short term, mid term, long term. Get a team, right? Then start branding. A lot of people have the product, people are buying the product, but they don't now brand the products. I don't know if that makes sense. I've seen people have great product, but the packaging is poor. Champagne is a good product, but if I put champagne in a Zubo nylon and I tie it, nobody's going to buy it for that price. Yeah. So at that point, you come in and package it, right? And package it. I mean, if you
just like Eizu, for example, I feel it's just kind.
Cheap. Sorry, I was going to say that Eizu is tequila. If you travel a lot and you go to Mexico, as tequila in Mexico is what kai is in Nigeria. It's a very low grade. It's a low grade drink. But bro, see how these guys have packaged Eizu for us. Like tequila in Mexico, like Mexico shared boundary with America, right? Like tequila is low budget drink in Mexico. But see how they've packaged it. Let me tell you the truth. You'll be shocked that the bottle for Eizu is probably more expensive than the Eizu inside. That's the packaging is more the production than the liquid content inside, right? And that's why people should take serious your job as a marketer, as a brand consultant, as a media person, because the only thing more important than what you ever sell is what you make the buyer believe that he's buying. After you get a good product, you get a good market, you now need to work on perception. Else, people will underprice you. Brand story, brand triggers, emotions with it, right? The way it's packaged, the way it's received, who has it, right? As my business grows now, the easiest way we get jobs is by saying, this is what we've done. The bank called me a few weeks ago. I said, we want to have this project with you. Can you come for a pitch? And I jokingly just said to them that we don't do pitches anymore. And like, what does that mean? That sounds arrogant. I'm like, no, who referred you? Maybe you should go back to the people that referred you to see whether we got a good job. I'm not going to stand in a queue with 20 people to come and do pitch. When you've played your politics, you already know who you want to choose.
Exactly.
And I said, I'm genuinely, I'm busy. Anyone that knows, so I'm busy. Don't worry about it. And I'm not coming for a pitch. I don't have that space to pitch. 2 days later, they call and they gave us a job without the pitch. I said, so did you go ahead and do the pitch? They said they canceled the pitch. I said, so why did you now
bring the pitch up in the first place?
The person that told us about you was another bank that was bigger than their bank. And they told us that this is the results from what this guy has done. I said, evidence terminates arguments. Evidence terminates arguments. Called brand association. And I hope it was worth.
No be cho.
No be cho. Just show working.
It's very, very important. Your work will speak for you at the end of the day. Thank you very much for coming over, Mr. Eizu. It was really, really insightful. I mean, I hope the viewers get to learn a whole lot from a genius, in my own words. And so there are a lot of things that you do. Like, for example, I know there is the inner circle.
Yeah.
There is the breakfast with Eizu. And I heard about Onboard X. Can you just throw more lights to some of those? Because a lot of people after this, they'll definitely want to go and check and see how you've helped people. You guess, no be cho. Yeah. They want to see, okay, how we have helped people in the past, or they want to come and check out Rovatel Media and be like, oh, these guys are doing this marketing. Let me even see what they have done in the past. So I'm just trying to throw that for like Onboard X, for breakfast with Eizu and Inner Circle. How does that work?
So let me take my own advice and my own medicine when I said, don't make it about self, make it about others. right? For people who are watching, there are three things you must do in your life cycle of your business. For people who are business oriented, first, you must create a great product and a great brand first. That we are done with Xavier. Then you create great distribution. There are three things you must do in the life cycle of a business. You must create a great product and brand first. Then two, create great distribution. Then three, create great ecosystem. Let me say it again. Create great product and brand, one. Two, create great distribution. Two, create great ecosystem. Now, let me put them in context of case studies so it's practical. Best products in the world, first step. Apple is a great product, the iPhone. Great product, they've created great brand. But what makes Apple interesting is the 1 billion users. How did they get 1 billion phones let me assume 1 billion hands? That's distribution.
Yeah.
So you see, great product first, then great distribution. Great product, Coca-Cola. But what makes Coca-Cola tick is the fact that every day 1 billion bottles of Coke is consumed worldwide. That's distribution. There's no street in Lagos you can't find a Coca-Cola.
Even at the waterfront, they drink Coke.
Yes, so you can see that, but that's distribution. It's how they come into a country, they get a distributor. I think NBC has a license for Coca-Cola here, right? So great product, great distribution, and great ecosystem. So to bring it back home, that's what Xavier's journey has been. So our great product was management consulting, right? Building business for people who built a great brand called Xavier. Our great distribution now are the other things we're trying to do with it. So for example, how do we intend to keep in touch with our numerous clients? Breakfast with Eizu. Every once a month, we get all our clients together and people who want to be our clients. Senior executives, CEOs, people that own, very, very sophisticated and billions in capitalization. Right. So that's what the Breakfast Eizu. So the Breakfast Eizu is a CEO's breakfast. We have it in all the major cities. We've had them in other cities. We've done Maldives, we've done Dubai, we've done a lot of other African countries. But the home place of Breakfast Eizu is still Lagos. Echo Hotel once a month. We gather CEOs together. We'll have breakfast with them. Buffet, so intercontinental food, but we discuss strategy and structure for building businesses. So that's what Breakfast Eizu. So if you're listening, put your ears to the ground and be a part of the next Breakfast with Eizu. We've also gone around to create other businesses. I'm a 3-time founder. I run a food brand that started about 3 years ago. We're in our 9th outlet. I really like things to grow really fast, right? Speed is something that my colleagues are here. Our core values in Xavier is excellence, energy, speed, right? We don't play with those three things, right? So yes, so we have Xavier. We have a lot of businesses. I'm an investor. I put my money not in banks and in land. Shout out to my real estate clients, but it's in putting money in businesses, right? Because the return on investment, if you're sure business is high risk, but it's high returns, that's the truth, right? I mean,
are you willing to take the risk?
Somebody was cracking a joke that in 1991, a celebrity used 10 million naira to buy a house. That's best investment he's done. I said, in 1991, Jimovia used that same 10 million to start Zenith Bank. Please show me where that house is, and I'll show you where Zenith Bank is. I'm sure you can use one Zenith Bank to buy like 1,000 of his house. Or 1 million houses. So business is good but it's not for everybody. Yeah. No, not everybody was created to start business. Some people are meant after years of experience, some people are meant to assist. Before you got here, one motivation aspire to perspire. You can come out your money and put yourself in trouble and put it somewhere, right? So if you know that you have a calling for it, you have the stamina because it takes grit, ready to go without pay. There are times in business where you pay everybody's salary and not pay yourself. There are times you take your savings and pay other people. If you have that energy, half of the job is done. So we do Onboard X is a new project that we're working on. We have a solar company I have equity in now. We have a food brand. We have a tech company and a lot of other things that we do by the side. But one thing I'm still passionate about the most is Xavier, because I feel like that's a calling to be able to take small ideas and turn them to global brands. We've seen businesses start from being small businesses from today. One branch to 2 branches to 3 branches. Just this morning, I woke up with a chat with Folusho iFitness, one of my first ever clients, and what we've built has been amazing. And I just realized that, oh my God, this guy is opening 27th gym. Yes, everybody knows iFitness. I'm like, I sleep, I could go to bed and lie down and sleep. I used to work at iFitness at a point. Oh, you did? Oh, I didn't even know, right? So I look back and I'm like, okay, so it's good. Nothing gets me excited that I'm driving and I'm seeing a power bank. I'm like, oh, is that New Age? Oh, man, that's our brand. Like, I was not that did it. This is my work. With also humility, but we're part of that whole process. Oh, is this right? Built brand, Senzaro and Tumble, a lot of brands. But one of the most important thing that I think is key is staying long enough in anything. See, speed is important, like I've said, but consistency is important. like they say in Nigeria word. People don't stay long enough in anything. And this is shout out to all my Gen Z people that have very low attention span for everything. You live in a TikTok
Very
generation.
delulu.
If it's not 1 minute, they say that Delulu is the new Solulu. Right? Delulu is the new Solulu. They don't stay long enough in anything. Yeah, I mean,
Low attention
you're
span.
talking stage, you're broken up already. No problem. This universe that we live in demands you to stay long enough in anything. I saw a famous Jay-Z interview and he said, what's the most genius thing you've ever done? And he said, the most genius thing I've ever done is to not quit. If people can just stay long enough in anything, they'll break through. Even some of us pray and God doesn't answer us, quit. Just stay long enough. Pray through, literally, right?
Eventually,
pray through
just
to you.
time.
Yes. People just don't stay long enough in anything. Stay long enough in that relationship. Stay long enough in that business. Stay long enough even in that job. This whole idea of you get a job. I'm sitting in interviews these days and I'm seeing somebody with a CV that in 1 year he's worked in 4 places. And I'm like,
that's like a red flag.
That's red flag, like red flag plus red card, right? So, but in the end, and I'm like, this guy does not understand stamina, staying power, grit. It's one of the most amazing things in this generation you can have. Gen Zs, any Gen Z that has grit, even if he doesn't have talent and is not intelligent, stay long enough in anything. The reason why your president is that he stayed long enough.
Imagine when he started backing up MK Abiola.
Yes. I mean, imagine after 99 to 2020, 2027, when they left, he's the only one who still stayed as a former governor, stayed long enough. He started a party. One guy that has not jumped cross carpet from one party to another. I mean, this is not a paid promotion, but just staying long enough in anything is the secret recipe to that thing. Just stay long enough. The tools you need to be found on the way.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eizu. This was very, very helpful. So if you want to connect with Mr. Eizu, check out Xavian. You can also check him on all socials, Eizu Uwaoma. And for Rovatel Media, please, if you're having the marketing issues, please, we are here to take you from where you are to where you want to be. Let's take the headache off you. Like, you can just outsource it. Don't stress yourself. I mean, you can't do everything by yourself. That's why there's a football team. A striker cannot keep, a keeper cannot midfield, a defender cannot play attacking midfield, basically. So this is a wrap. And thank you for joining us on another wonderful episode of Entellis. Feel free to connect with us, Rovatel Media, across all social platforms. And once you need something, please don't hesitate. We're always here to help you out. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Till we see you in the next episode. Peace out.